when I was ending my travel journal through the whole experience, compared to my first day, I wrote to myself, could be a bit cringe, guys, but that I'm a magician and I create magic, I see magic, I experience it, and it's everywhere around me. And this is the biggest takeaway for me through this solo trip. That I'm a fucking magician.
That's very cringy, but also very sweet. I'll give you that. Love that. I love the word magic. I think it's the sparkle of the world, and you experienced things that, I don't know, most people are not even aware of. Like now, I guess my solo trip would be exactly the same as yours. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe not including the boy I traveled to Thailand with. Maybe not including that.
Never know.
You never know. You never know.
Never know. I know people who got the solo trip. Someone told me the story who broke their engagement.
Okay, it's April 3rd, 10 p.m. I'm at the airport, East Asia trip to Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Bali. So this video is for future Mahima, future 7 weeks Mahima who's gonna look back, and I hope you're fucking proud of what you're gonna see, what you're gonna feel, and what you're gonna experience. Guys, I feel so fucking pukish right now. I have this weird calmness in me. It hasn't really hit me that I'm about to do this. And I always thought, yeah, I'm going to travel the world. But at the age of 27, it's probably going to be with a partner. And I'm going to be probably this, maybe married or like, I don't know, I had all these like dystopian dreams for myself. And never say never because now I'm that girl at the age of 27 who's about to explore the world with no obligations, nothing to look back to, nothing to look forward except the time that she's going to live and be with herself. Maybe it's not even life changing. Maybe it's not what they talk about in the movies. I just know when I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to have any fucking regrets of anything. I just want to see how far I can push myself and who the fuck like mummy papa. I have no idea how my Punjabi parents like literally fucking allowed me to do this because I could see the scare, but also a weird sort of comfort in their eyes because to see his daughter do this and to support this, although he doesn't agree with how crazy this is, amount of money I'm spending. There was this weird proud feeling that I could see in both of their eyes today. That yeah, I came from them, and thank you for making me so fucking fearless because that's what I feel right now, very fearless. यार मैं नहीं करूंगी ये सब चीज़ें तो कौन करेगा मेरा दिमाग खिसका पड़ा है like I don't think my neurons work the right way like a typical person's way so if I don't do this then who will do it like I need to be that aunt of Kishi's kids who are like fuck my mama is the fucking coolest honestly I have zero expectations apart from the fact I don't lose my passport my money and I hope to make my parents proud, bro. I hope to make my parents proud. I hope to find that calmness in me again. I hope to be able to find that confidence again. My hands are shaking, and I think I should now go take the flight. Mahim, go fucking live your dream. You waited for so long, bro. You had to really put a lot of shit, manipulate a lot of people, a lot of things. You had to gaslight yourself into doing this. लोग जिंदगी को जिंदगी की तरह जी रहे हैं और मैं जिंदगी को मजाक की तरह जी रही हूँ और and I somewhere want to prove myself that the mazak that how you live your life so unapologetically is a very weird but one of the truest way to live your life and I can't wait to meet you future Mahima in 7 weeks. This trip is every single thing you imagined it to be and I hope you get to see lots of beautiful fishes and lots of beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Okay, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Any Color You Like. This is Kritvi and I'm joined with my beautiful co-host Mahima who has since returned from her 2 month long solo trip. It started off with a 1 month long solo trip, but for some reason it ended up being two, which we will get into. But she has gone to countries that were never even on my radar. So she started in Cambodia, went to Laos, Vietnam, Bali, which is where she was supposed to end her 1 month. And then where did you end up instead of India? So she ended up in Thailand for an extra month, and if there's anyone who can do it, it's obviously Mahima. But it's so interesting that we talk every single day, probably hours at end, and I still haven't heard all her solo trip stories. So this podcast is as much for me as it is for all of you guys, and I'm super excited because I think, Mahima, you're probably the first person I know, at least the first girl I know, who has gone to to do a solo trip, and that too for such a long period of time. Like, technically I also went on a solo trip to Istanbul for 2 days, but it's obviously not the same thing. So first question straight off the bat is, where did this thought come from? Who planted the seed of going on a solo trip, and why did you decide these countries that you actually ended up going to?
Okay, so this solo trip of 2 months wasn't like the first time I'm doing solo tripping, you know that. It wasn't like it was the longest, but okay, a little bit more context. I am that girl who grew up being so protected. Like I would not even go, I was not even allowed to go to the Sector 6 market, which is like a 10-minute walk from my home without someone taking me there. But as fate had it, I ended up in America, then Belgium, and between I would meet all these people. Okay, I remember this one girl I met in Boston in a random like a house party, and she had just said that, "Oh, I just came back from my Southeast East Asia solo trip." And at that time, I was like, "That's why would anyone want to do solo trip? Like, why? Like, that's such a boring thing to do. Like, I need people, I need the whole community and everything." But as I grew older and I started realizing that the thing is, when I go out do something, there are a lot of things that I want to do that a lot of my friends might not want to do. You know, I have like set of friends to do different things with, but if I want to plan a day activity, it really doesn't match with everyone. So I realized like when with my friends and all, I love my friends, I love you, Prithvi and all, but everyone has a very different take on having fun. So it started when I was in America. I was in Boston. I used to go to San Francisco, and I used to do like 1 day solo day in this particular like hiking place near the nude beach. And I would say, oh, my 1 day solo day of the year. Then after I moved to Belgium, initially it was a lot of like solo time by myself. I started like, taking myself to the coffee dates. From there, I built up to okay, maybe I can go to Bruges alone. You know, like do that 1 hour thing. And I started really enjoying that 1 hour or 2 hours or 2 days of no one just telling me what the fuck I should do. Then it became like a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and I was like, "Fuck, I love it because I could be anything. I could do
Right.
anything." I'm so present, you know, like my all my senses are working. I am not talking about a similar thing that I would talk to my friends all the time I meet them. So I just like
Right.
stories. Sometimes I don't want to hear anyone's story. So this whole new side of me, girl who never thought she could do it, to someone who really, I don't think it's going to be really hard when I find a partner if he doesn't really enjoy these things because I will go. Even if I get married, I know people, my friend's sister, who is married, but she still goes on solo trips like once a year because she's been doing it for such a long time. It's fucking addicting. You dictate your day, you don't care about people, the freedom you get.
Yeah.
And this Southeast Asia, why I chose, because honestly, when I was in Belgium, these Europeans are for some reason very obsessed with Southeast Asia. But there was this one thing that kind of attracted me a lot to go to Southeast Asia, which we will talk about it later. But I'll make a separate episode on that, which is Hajing Lu, the best fucking experience of my life. As a very average Reddit person, during COVID time, like I was like looking at this like one post which was like, what is the best thing you have done in your life? Something like that, best experience of your life. And I repetitively saw Hajing. And at that time, I
Give
Googled.
some detail about it. Where was it? Where is it? What is it?
Yeah, so Hajing Loop. Yeah, so I just read Hajing Loop like repeatedly on that post, and then like I went and Googled it, and it was this bike loop in northern mountains of Vietnam, and you sit on the back of a bike for 4 days, and you just really observe. You become part of the nature. and you live with local people, you eat local food, you have like these drivers and you meet these people you have like in different groups and stuff. It depends. You can do it like solo as well, but I chose to do it in a group. And you like have people from all over different countries. There were bathrooms that I used which had frog on top of it. Like like whole my standard of living had gone to trash. Doesn't fucking matter. I think that one experience kind of pulled me towards Southeast Asia. I heard people talk about it a lot. Also, it's like budget friendly. I thought, okay, I have like 3,000 euros to go experience live. Where can I go? And all the Southeast Asian countries, majority of their money comes from tourists. So it is very well established for tourists. Like most of the countries, like Vietnam and Thailand, especially.
Which is surprising to hear because you would assume that they are, um, not as rich as countries. Like it's not like a Europe, like where you used to go earlier for your solo trips. I think you went to Portugal and you went to Croatia and you've done a bunch of like Western countries where you expect कि hostels भी होंगे, सारी चीजें आपके लिए अच्छे से organized हैं. But the fact that you're saying कि Vietnam, Thailand, they're all very, very, developed for tourism. That's really, really interesting to hear because as Indians, we go to these countries with a very different perspective, right? Thailand is either you just go for sex and drugs, or you're going for like really nice resorts or this and that. But the way you have experienced Vietnam and Thailand is, I think, very, very different than what any other Indian person I know has experienced it. So, talk to me a little bit more about what you mean by these countries having all those tools and resources available for travelers.
Okay, whenever I've traveled to a hostel in Europe, you have this kitchen area, okay? And you cook your own food and stuff because you're on budget and all, and it's really expensive. You have this laundry area as well where you can laundry and all. I love Southeast Asia. There, the food is so cheap, so you don't have to cook. I was eating out all the time. But even your laundry, there are people like these like little small little shops, like local people like actually washing your clothes. So these things which are very tourist friendly, where you're like traveling for such a long time, makes it that was the first like culture shock I had when I went there. I was like, oh, what about like cleaning my own clothes? That saves a lot of time to go just fucking see another sunset or something.
Right.
Another thing is that these countries, especially Laos and Cambodia, and Vietnam, these countries don't speak English like as much. Bali, because it's so highly touristic, yeah, Thailand, still fine, but these people don't speak English. It's like worse than going to France. But they would put all their efforts to make you feel comfortable. They'll have like Google Translator. Like my bike rider on Hajing Loop and I did not speak any English, but we had a heart to heart conversation. Like our conversation on like Google Translate, and we just understanding each other. These people are just so warm and they want to welcome you, and they are very simple people. Most of these countries people like they are not. Okay, so I one of the biggest realization I had during the trip which made me really connected to the local people is that why like I most of the countries people live not in the cities. Like majority of the population 80 to 90%. In India I think it's like maybe 50 60, but there like it's like 90%. In Cambodia I was reading, in Laos it's probably like 95% live in like small villages. People like so fucking happy. So like you would every day they would eat their food outside. Like they would be done there with their day and everything, like selling all these like stupid things to people, all these tourist traps and stuff. They would come back. All the families would sit on these like little stools, and they would like sit around the table with a hot pot and singing. And these small like the community thing, and I was like, how are they so happy? And then I was reading a book also at that time, David and Goliath, in which it talks about how if you're born because poverty is not a new concept. I'm not like a Gora or like a white person who's coming all the way from like Europe. Oh wow, poverty, or like seeing a cow on the road. It's very normal for me in India, and much more poverty I see on the street. But I think it was like I was like in India, poor people are very sad. Like they are like actually I look at them and I feel bad, but I'm looking at these people and I want to be also poor. Like I don't want to have any life obligation. Looking at like I won't want this life in this village. Why? And then the author in the book, like he was talking about this concept how when you're born, when in a country like India where there's so much disparity, if I'm born in front of Antila, for example, in Dharavi, I am like कि उसके पास इतना पैसा कैसे है मेरे पास नहीं है. So I'm every day there's a tight slap on my face looking at the disparity. In these countries, majority of the people are poor. So you are also poor, I'm also poor. So that makes life much more easier. We think it's a disadvantage, but it's not a disadvantage. Actually, like the quality of life is much, much better. I think people were my highlight. Like one day I did not have money. All my gifts got finished in Lahore. And the lady, and I was really hungry. The lady cooked me food and everything. She was like, just pay me whenever. She's met me a minute ago. Like, she doesn't even talk English. She's like, you'll come back and pay me tomorrow. That's all the English words that she said to me. And I came back and I gave her extra money. It just felt like they know me. Like, and I feel so out of place in Delhi. Being from Delhi, I've complained this to Kishan so many times that in my own city, I feel like it's a bit overwhelmed. People are just living very superficial lives and stuff. So I think that is why I think, like, for tourists to experience a world which is so different, but teaches you a lot of things. Like,
It humbles you. I think it's a very humbling experience. And that was one of my questions, like, what surprised you the most, in the way people live there? And I think you kind of answered it in terms of they're just happy, they have the same heat, they have the same machars, they have the same bank balance, which is usually very low. And yet, they're sitting and singing and, doing all of those things.
Another thing I'll tell you, okay? So in Cambodia, I did this countryside tour, cycling tour, and we went to random people's house and stuff, and to see how they do farming and all. And most of, again, Cambodian people live in countryside. So I was asking my tour guide that why do these people have to go for like morning market and night market? Why do they have that like two? They all these South Asian countries, you would see if you go there, they have a morning market and a night market, and that is because majority of the population in the countries don't have a refrigerator. So they go in the morning, they have to get things fresh, come back home. And these activities that might sound so like, oh fuck, like if I don't have a refrigerator, that means I can't do my meal prep. That means I can't have like proper protein intake. Like all these things would stress me out. But how the culture has developed is that they enjoy for them that's a skid like a in the morning the family would go together to to the market. Some people would cook food together. It's a more communal feeling. They'll all eat food together. So their days are much slower, which automatically means more happiness if your days are slower. If your cortisol, like if you think about it biologically, you are waking up early, you're going to sleep like early. So every time in between, you're so surrounded by the people you love, your community, and everything. You're living in a place where you don't even have proper air conditioning or like basic amenities that we have in a first world. But this happiness that when there's an overflowing warmness that you find from these people, or you go on Delhi in the streets of Delhi, you ask someone for help, even like a and as people get richer, the help gets like low and low and low. These people are ready to help you at any and at given time.
Right.
So for me, I think that tells a lot. Like even the history, Cambodia has been in war, civil war. They have been war since I think like 1990s. The government right now is also like very corrupt as fuck. But people in there, they are so ready just to welcome you and to hug you. And I don't know, it's you can just see it's infectious how happy they are. And I was like, fuck, should I just move here? I don't know.
Oh, that was my next question. Like, out of all the places that you went to, and like, I think you went to places I wouldn't even know of. Most people wouldn't even know of, right? All those villages and small towns. हम Europe में बोलते कि oh, south of France चलते छोटे छोटे villages explore करके आते. You kind of did that across 4 countries. So, if I had to ask you, which neighborhood, village, city, whatever would be, if I can tell you can move there today, which one would it be and why?
It has to be for sure Luang Prabang in Laos. I think that Luang Prabang is so it was French colonized, that little city. It's very beautiful. It's like a French architecture, but like also Asian architecture and stuff. Um, and great thing about that city was that it was so isolated, but still, and it has the best food I had. Like Laotian food, guys, so good. My favorite experience was definitely Hajin Lu, but if I have to pick one country which is my favorite, was Laos because I went there during their and I did not plan this. I just showed up and I got to know when I reached there is that they have this like once a year New Year's. Their you know how Chinese have their New Year's, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. It's called Pai Mai or Songkar, and it's like literally a week of getting wet. It's like holy 4 days on the street. Everyone is throwing water at you. People are dancing. I miss Laotian beer. People are dancing on the street and stuff. And people are, for some reason, very obsessed with karaoke. In Vietnam, especially, they're like buildings fucking as big as like plazas and stuff just dedicated to karaoke. You could go to a fucking jhopri there, but someone would have a karaoke. They don't have food to eat, but they have a karaoke machine at home. And after 8 p.m., they get their beers, they sit there, and they're fucking like full family together is doing full karaoke and all. Me and one more guy, we were just walking in Laos, in Luang Prabang, and we're walking and we randomly ended. in this family's house, Laotian family, could not speak anything. We didn't have money because Kip was such a weird currency. I would just run out of money by the end of the day. Didn't have money. We both wanted to drink. He also didn't have money. ATM wasn't working. So this family just they just saw us, and he was of course like a Gora. They're obsessed with Gora like everywhere, like India also. So they both invited us to their house. They gave us food, and they got the karaoke machine out. They played their own songs and they were just singing for an hour and they just kept filling a beer. I was like, fucking good. If I find a picture, I'll put it here. So I think small little things. And I saw this monk offering in the morning. And one more thing why Luang Prabang is because the time I had in Cambodia, that was the starting of my trip. The first 5 6 days. I don't know if I told you, Kishi, but I fucking hated my solo trip experience. Like it wasn't like flowers and all. I was like literally checking my phone like this key should take my no should take my no what the fuck did I do? Maybe I'm because I thought I'm an Indian and maybe these people are like I wouldn't see any Indian there. I think I did not see a single Indian girl for sure solo traveling. I did not meet a lot of Indians. I was in like Korong and like random like islands and stuff. I had some this prejudice that maybe I'm Indian, no one wants to talk to me, this and that for the first 5 days. And in Luang Prabang, that energy shift happened for some reason. And then you kind of know my history and Laos. And then I think my trip really picked up from there after 10 days. Yeah. Like, fuck, I never want to go home. Only reason I came back home is because my money's finished. Yeah. So I think I had this very attachment with the city. It's a UNESCO. Oh, one more thing. Okay. So in Luang Prabang, it's a UNESCO heritage site. So after 11 p.m., there's no alcohol. Like you can't go to any bars and stuff. But for some reason, there's a bowling alley. So when I came to my hostel the day one, and it was like for bowling alley leaving at like 10:45, and I'm like, why the fuck would I want to go to a bowling alley in Laos? Like, fuck, I don't even like doing bowling and stuff. And then I was very drunk, and everyone in the hostel just dragged me there. Apparently, for some reason, that bowling alley doesn't come under the UNESCO heritage site. They have like it's situated in such like a weird location on the map that inside you can do any sort of drugs, you can party. That alley is like a party place. Okay, going to bowling, people are dancing with the whole like, but it was mostly backpackers. But it was like such a good fucking experience.
Was there any place that was completely different than what you had imagined, like out of all the places you went to, or something that really shocked you?
Yeah, Gili tea, bro. Like I think Gili tea, bro. What an island. Okay, when you think about Indonesia, you probably know that Indonesia is one of the strictest country in terms of like drugs and everything. But it's not that you can't get it out in open. Like even someone like me was like, I'm not even gonna try. I don't do drugs, but like I'm not even gonna try for weed and everything. It's just not worth it. On Bali, like the main island where all the tourist stuff, you can still get it. Of course, most of the people are there on drugs. It's like if you get caught, it's a very bad sentence and stuff. But for some reason, Gility has kind of like skipped this when they were making laws and stuff. They skipped this island completely. You go onto this island, and there are no cars. There's the whole island. I could bike it in like 45 minutes. Kritvi probably in like 2 hours. Hey, but at this island, you go around the whole island, they're like shroom shops. It's like some alternate reality. It's like they have like small little shops which are making shroom shakes for you, magic mushroom shakes, guys. And you go on the back, you trip. It was like some like the dystopian. I don't know. It was just so. I kind of knew what I'm gonna get into, but I had no like idea what I'm gonna get into. Yeah. So it was very, very, very beautiful island, beautiful time. Shroom shakes, like definitely go there, go sit in the back. A lot of like beautiful tripping. I saw all sort of like from sunrise to sunset, sitting just on one like we actually should I shouldn't describe my shroom. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the point of you not enjoying your solo trip for the first couple of days, right? Did it get lonely at any given point of time, or was it extremely awkward, like you said, to make friends, and not just in Cambodia, but as you kept because you kept changing your destination, you were in different places every few weeks. How does friendship work? Is it too much time with yourself almost?
I think loneliness is such a I said it, we kind of look at it as a very sad word, and we feel person is lonely and stuff like that. Of course, I'm traveling alone. I don't know anyone for a day. I'm constantly changing. There's so many times I felt lonely. The first 5 days, it was a negative lonely where I'm like, fuck, I'm seeing these group of people where I have friends. It would have been easier to, go talk to people if I had a group, blah blah blah. Like so many thoughts. Like I think the first 8 pages of my journal is like, fuck, it was a bad decision. I don't think I have it in me, blah 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 and stuff like that. And I kept reading, I miss Kishi. I wish I had this person. Maybe this person I could have, like, it was whatever I said in the start of this episode, why it's like about solo trip, it was opposite. Like I really hated the first. And this again, this was not the first time I'm doing solo trips. I had no feeling of it, but I still did not like it. And I think one thing you have to realize when you're solo traveling is that the denominator that brings people to solo traveling is that everyone is looking for something more. So when you meet someone there, even for an hour, everyone is at their most open or vulnerable self. These are the people who have like quit their jobs. They have taken a life decision. Some people probably haven't quit their job. They're just there for recreation. You just want to have a good time. Even if they're taking out that time to experience something uncomfortable. So the mindset of the people you meet during solo travel, especially backpacking, living in hostel, why everyone say you should live in hostel and stuff, is it's not going to be like, hi, how are you? This is like the basic things that you talk. Like
No small talk.
yeah, there's no small talks. In usual cases, like I'm from this place. That is the first 3 lines. Okay, I'm from here. Blah blah blah. Then you go deep into the things. So because people are trying to find that connection, and it's the easiest place in the world to find that connection because the other person is also looking for something more. You also are looking for something more. So there's no layers. You are just heading straight in. And another thing about solo traveling, which is a very beautiful and scary thing, is that you change your people every day. Like it was so hard sometimes to meet people in the morning. And I've cried. I've cried 3 times in the trip where I was like, I feel so sad when I was leaving the person. I met this girl, Ashley, fucking love her. Every single person I've met, like I was like, why am I feeling so like what the fuck? I've met this person.
How am I so attached so
So
quickly?
attached to these things because all of us have that in us to be open, to be vulnerable. We just don't get that space ever in our lives to be
Wow,
there. Like
what a beautiful thing to say. I guess I need to get a flight to Laos to find myself and be vulnerable to random strangers in the world. But that sounds really nice because I do remember you were like at some point you were besties with, people in your hostel. And I remember that one time when you were leaving that main group and you were really, really sad. So that's very, very unique because I think us being kind of we've spent so much of our young adult life in America, which is the land of small talk. Matlab, they're all such surface level conversation. It takes a really long time for people to be honest about themselves, and then you kind of feed off of that energy, right? Like I'm also not going to come and tell you about my life problems and my deep dark secrets, but it seems like you had that space of really talking about things that maybe you and I would talk about after so many years of friendship, which is really, really sweet. Okay, now I need some fun stuff about boys. Where, who were the boys? Who did you meet? Did it,
okay, because you don't laugh, we will not disclose everything. It's a fucking public thing.
we won't disclose everything, but there were a bunch of unique men that had. I just remember Mahima telling me that Kritvi, I met this boy. He's telling me let's go to Thailand, so I went to Thailand with him. Then I liked another boy, so I told him, okay, boy one, bye bye. I was like, bro, what? He came to Thailand with you. But I guess those are the rules of solo travel. You can drop and like pick up.
But I met like some beautiful people. I met a guy in Laos. This guy went fully broke. Okay, he didn't even have money to fly back home. He's in UK. And so he was actually working for the hostel for a week because they give you free accommodation and free food if you work. Every time I was like, I want a drink, he would put like 7 shots in it for free for me. So it was a good time. We went out, blah blah blah, whatever happened. And now cut to I left said him bye, went to Luang Prabang. There I met a very nice guy as well. And then
Mahima's universe is only different. I have single girlfriends who are like actively trying to seek out dates and men and like वो इतनी कोशिश कर रही है मेहनत कर रही है लड़कियां. She just fucking shows up. She shows up to like remote ass villages in Cambodia and Laos, and then she said, "Yeah, I met a nice guy there, and then I met a nice guy there, and then I met a nice guy there also." So I love how many nice guys.
go on solo trips. Okay, people are very fucking nice. I was in Hajing Loop day one. I remember I texted Kishi. I think do you think I should go to Thailand? And she's like giving me like a proper real world lecture. Okay, Mahima, no, you have like your own savings. I want you to like come back with this much amount of money. This is not good. This is not. I'm like, yeah, I think I booked the ticket. I'm going to Thailand. This guy just, and she's like, how and why? I'm like, yeah, I asked. I was like, yeah, in Bali, if I do my scuba diving thing, it would cost me 400 euros. So it's better to go to the cheapest place in Port Au, where I've paid at least four phases, $400 on my flights to go there, and I'm there for
Girl math.
girl math, girl math. Okay. So like, yeah, he asked me, and I was like, yeah, fine. We're traveling. Thailand is not that expensive. You know, in Thailand money is monopoly money. It's not real money. What you spend there. What happens in Thailand stays in Thailand. Like, we will see. I'll go to Koh Tao and all these places and stuff. And she's giving me full lecture. I'm like, Kishi, I don't want to fucking hear you. Okay? Like, I don't want to hear real world advices right now. I just want you to tell me,
Like, don't stop being right, Kritvi. I was like, okay.
yeah, please. And I was like, I got mad at her. Then I had to beg my brother for some more money. There's a lot of begging that was going on.
She begged me also, like, please send me $100. She was begging me for $100. This girl.
But he asked me to come to Thailand. So went to Thailand. After a week, I was like, he's a bit boring, you know. And I was like, it's for the plot. That's why I love Ravi. I texted Ravi about this thing, and she's like, yeah, it's for the plot. I love it. Thailand. Ravi is Kritvi's younger sister, and she's my favorite person in the entire world. She's my Gen cool kid. And she's like, yeah, Mahima Didi, go for the plot. I was like, for the plot. Went there. And you see all these reels on Instagram, no romance. We met here, we got married, we had kids, blah blah. It was opposite for me. It was like opposite. Out of 4 days, I'm like sitting, and I told this guy that I'm gonna go for dinner. He's like, I'll come with you. I'm like, no, 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 you stay. I'm gonna go alone. Okay. So I go at dinner. I'm just sitting. Should I call Kritvi and tell her what the fuck did I just do? Like, because if I call Krishi and I tell her, oh, I came here, but I think I'm kind of bored of him. She should be like, हाँ बहनचोद मैंने बोला था ना तेरे को बोला था ना मैंने तेरे को like yeah, he's a sweet guy. If you're listening to him, you're a sweet guy. Really. Like he knows I told him like, bro, I'm bored. And
I
that's
just didn't like you enough. It's okay.
very, very beautiful.
What was your most memorable meal of your trip? And it better be a fucking pad thai because you got a pad thai tattoo. That, by the way, everybody looks like chow mein. So we are thinking of adding. I didn't say it. She only said it. So we are thinking of adding a little text underneath her pad thai tattoo that says, "This is not chow mein." So I want to know about the food because I know you already mentioned a bit about Laotian food. Laotian?
Laos.
Lao, la, क्या?
Laotian.
Laotian. Okay, first tell me what is that food because I have never had that cuisine and I'm very, very intrigued. And then tell me the best fucking meal you had because I think Asian food is drugs for me. Like that is the peak. So it's just I'm so intrigued with because yeah, Thailand we've been Vietnam maybe jaake the only thing you think about is pho and Thailand is all like okay Thai curry, red curry, you know, fucking whatever. Like it's just very, very basic stuff that we are very exposed to. So talk to me a little bit about the food.
I was like, I'll eat any or anything. I'm someone who usually doesn't eat a lot of meat, but like chicken or something, which is protein. But I don't eat, I'm not a very big fan of like seafood and everything. But for this particular trip, I was like, I'm gonna enjoy everything. Cambodia, I literally those 10 days, everyone who told me in the locals to go to this restaurant, this the best one and everything, I did not like it. I was like, okay, they have this amrok fish thing, which was decent, but I was not that impressed by Cambodian food. Laotian food had zero expectations. I what I was getting into, but Laotian food could be described as if Thai food has sex with a little bit of like there are three, four people having sex here, okay, to produce Laotian. So if Thai food has sex with Chinese food and you add a little bit more spices from India. So I don't like how like Sri Lankan food. So it's like mixture of like that sort of food. Influence very heavily influenced by Chinese and Thai food. I would say somewhere in between. I went to this restaurant in Luang Prabang. It was so sad. It was a set menu for minimum two people. And it was like not expensive, it was like a Michelin. Anthony Bourdain has come there and like said like this is the one of the best food in the world. So I went to that place. But someone who told me about this place, she went with her boyfriend. She was in the hostel with me for like a date night kind of thing. When I went there, I told them I want to get like a set menu. They looked at me, she's like, the lady's like, there's no one joining you. I was like, no. And she's like, okay, we can't give you set menu. You have to get it from me. She's like, it's only for two people. But I got everything and costed me fucking expensive restaurant where I actually ordered half of the menu, like $22. And one more experience I had in Bang Viang in Laos. We went to this place. Online it said very good chicken soup. So we were 5 people. We went there. The lady could not, of course, speak English. She just asked her to look at the menu on, not even, it wasn't even a menu. It was a picture of chicken noodle soup. She couldn't explain us what it was. Online, you could not see anything. It was like a very, very local as it gets. I get flashbacks of that place, like flash fucking back. It was so good, so good. I had a that local family's home, very good food. Then Vietnam. I think it should be love story, me and the Vietnamese food, because I think it was my favorite. Nothing beats Vietnam. And the good thing about Vietnam is that it was very vegan friendly also. So it wasn't like very meat heavy that you would assume like Laotian food, but they use a lot of pork. Their pork is like their main meat that they use. And I finally learned how to eat. It's not pork, it's pho.
It's fun. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I learned it.
I wanted to ask if you ever felt unsafe because as women, I think that is one of the main questions that our parents ask, right? कि अच्छा 2 महीने अकेले घूमोगी, दुनिया बहुत खराब है, all of that. So, from a very honest perspective, did you ever feel unsafe? And if yes, how do you deal with that, considering that you are alone? Which is interesting because I remember when you had gone to Paris, you had called me like crying and there were like men chasing you in one of the main streets of Paris, so that I know that you have already dealt with a lot of unsafeness, is that a word? I don't know.
Unsafe.
दो communication degree है मेरे पे. um
I think my parents, if it was happening maybe 5 6 years ago, when I've just come out of college, it would have been a complete no. I've met a lot of people, a lot of people who were traveling, doing backpacking, were actually younger than 25. I felt pretty old. I was like, oh shit, I'm late. But I think it was the right time to go because I was ready to take in what I saw and experienced. But anyway, it was 5 years ago. They would be a bit hesitant, but I have really lived away for 10 years and just been my own boss. Like I make my own decisions, I do my own things. But on the other hand, like when I was talking about the solo trip and everything at home, there was just only one question that my dad asked, and he was like, "Is it safe?" And I said, "Yeah, it's safe, Dad." And like, I'm sure. And then he said, "Okay, fine. You go. It's your money. Do whatever you want to do." And I was like, "This is the time in my life where I don't have any obligations right now. So like this is the reason it really matters." So it wasn't a very hard conversation to have with them. They're very convinced. My mom is a very independent person. She has done actually a solo trip, and she was solo trip in the sense like in college she was the only person in her group that went to Kashmir, and she was like, if I went there and had the best time, why can't my daughter? It's more than a hard conversation with my parents. Very, 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 very lucked out with my parents on this. Um, and they're very cute. Every city I would tell them, today I'm in Luang, today I'm here. My dad would open the YouTube. And my mom and dad would sit while eating food. They'd be like looking in the whole YouTube where she ate the Hajing loop. My dad also did the Hajing loop and stuff. They've been very supportive about it, and they really trust me. I'm a fucking scientist. Why would this stop me?
fair enough, you are a scientist, I agree.
So they know I can take care of myself and everything. Now coming to the safety thing, I'll be very honest. I did not have a single experience in these 5 countries. I've heard very funny stories from other travelers that they ended up with mafias. For most part of it, I think, and I also saw way more women doing backpacking, honestly, than men. Men were in a group. There were way more solo women doing the backpacking. So I think at no point in those 5 countries I felt unsafe. I've been out at 2 a.m. in random places, taking random night bus. I was stuck in a train station for 8 hours. Not at all like I felt unsafe as much as I felt unsafe in these big cities in Europe or America, even like West Lafayette or London, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
I feel we all think that this Southeast Asia is so far away from like this whatever
Civilization.
civilization. They're living so differently and everything. But again, coming back to why I fell in love with with the people is because there was this just such a big, cute, like warmness and welcome. Like they want to help you. And for another thing is I did not really get drunk, like I'm completely out of my senses drunk when I am by myself. You know, I'm a very safe person like that. I think that's something depends on the person as well. I know someone who lost their wallet and phone and everything. So their experience of Vietnam, for example, would be very different than mine. For me, people were just very helpful because I was very alert most of the time. When I got very, very drunk, I was surrounded by people I know who can take me home. So it was, yeah, I don't think personally as a girl at all anywhere I felt unsafe.
So much growth in you in these 2 months, and in a lot of ways not even like in a lot of ways you just went to have some fun, and you had a lot of fun in very unique ways that we when we think of vacations and travel, we only think of like drinking or like eating at nice places, even if you're eating local, which my family does, but it's still like, okay, ye jagah dekh lete. It's a very cookie cutter travel experience that we have, no matter how much we try to personalize it and make it cool. But I think yours was very spontaneous. Like, aaj kya karna hai, kal kya karna hai, ye kya. So, you know how you started the episode and you said, "Ke, I wrote for the first 5 days in my travel journal that I hate this, I want to go back, all that." I want to ask, did that change? And if yes, what was the last thing that you wrote before you took that flight back to Delhi?
Of course, it did change. I think by the end of my trip, the confidence, though, it's gotten like some like different level. I am very, very confident about how the worst is not gonna be. Like it's just it's reaffirming how I was able to manage all these things. I don't give a fuck about like problems happening. Like when I meet people now, they tell me their problem. I empathize, but these are the bigger problems in the world. But the last thing I think when I was ending my travel journal through the whole experience, compared to my first day, I wrote to myself, could be a bit cringe, guys, but that I'm a magician and I create magic, I see magic, I experience it, and it's everywhere around me. And this is the biggest takeaway for me through this solo trip. That I'm a fucking magician.
That's very cringy, but also very sweet. I'll give you that. Love that. I love the word magic. I think now, I guess my solo trip would be exactly the same as yours. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe not including the boy I traveled to Thailand with. Maybe not including that.
Never know. I know people who got the solo trip. Someone told me the story who broke their engagement. Just in case. Tushar, Saja.
Tushar needs to put a ring on it before I can break it. Please get on with it. Okay.
Going strong.
Shut up. Shh. Okay, thank you so much, Mahima. Thank you for your insights, and we will see you all next time.
Like, share, subscribe.